Hi, my name is Terry Kawaja, and I run Luma Partners. It's a strategic advisory firm at the intersection of media and technology. Now, I'm going to use Don Draper to help me describe something I call the scientification of media. Now, what exactly do I mean by this? Well, if you're confused, you're probably not alone. So the scientification of media is really what I'm talking about is... There we go. What I did was I Googled it, right? And the only thing that came up was my own tweet about it. So clearly, that's not that relevant. But what I'm really referring to is data-driven targeting and optimization of digital media. And while that may seem like a narrow subject, I submit that it's much broader. Think about the early days of a media channel. It takes a while for it to get into its own, and I believe digital is just coming on. Remember the early days of TV? They basically televised a radio broadcaster. I think we're at a critical inflection point, and apparently I am not alone. Google recently launched a campaign to emphasize their efforts in the display space. So Eric, Nikesh, Neil, you let me know when I screw up here. This is a really big thing, and data makes it all possible. Ubiquitous data about consumers' preferences, likes, dislikes, proclivities, you name it. And all of this data is being utilized by a vast ecosystem of companies that are looking to target advertising. And a vast ecosystem it is. It is a complete mess. I attempted to chart 200 companies in 26 categories to try and understand how this works, and it's terrible. And when you consider this is only an $8 billion market, you really start to get worried. But don't worry, there's hope. It's a much bigger market. Think of online media as a petri dish where they take the learnings of targeting and optimization and bring them to the much larger markets in television, radio, print. And if you ask me, people are after television because that's where all the money is. And it's not just advertising. The same targeting technologies can be utilized to help with content creation, content discovery, the whole consumer experience from CRM to product design and e-commerce. So this is much broader. In many ways, media is becoming personalized. Every single one of us in this room could go to the same websites and have an entirely different experience. This is the future of digital, and I think this is what I'm talking about in terms of scientified media. In fact, that is going to become such a rich consumer experience that going back, doing it, not having a personalized media experience, will feel old and static. There's no way you can go back to the old options once you've gotten to the nirvana of scientified media. That has not stopped folks in Washington from trying to intervene. They believe that there's severe privacy concerns, and there's been legislation suggested that would significantly hamper this. And the media has gotten in on it. Heck, the Wall Street Journal came out with a whole series called What They Know that talks about all these tracking technologies. I will tell you that the tone was very alarmist, but I'm sure it sold newspapers. And I think like Don does, I need a drink when I read those. And, you know, it's understandable why it's a newsworthy topic because all of these issues, real-time, social, mobile, and local, are all elements of scientified media, and they have massive implications beyond just media. What are those implications? Well, let's take a look at the purchase funnel. When you change the top layer, the entry layer of the purchase funnel from an art to a science, it has massive implications. All the other layers are all the science of conversion. And the first implication may, in fact, be a collapse of the purchase funnel, where you've got media companies moving down funnel towards search, towards e-commerce, and e-commerce companies coming up towards media because it is now a language that they understand. This is going to have significant implications, and will likely lead, thankfully, to a lot of M&A activity, a lot of consolidation, because a lot of different companies are going to be getting in on the game to take advantage of rectifying the fragmented marketplace and taking advantage of this huge opportunity. And I'm not just talking about the usual players. I mean, sure, you've got the big media and marketing companies, old and new, but you now have companies in data and communications and networking and software and hardware that are getting in on the game. Don't believe me? Well, it's already happening. Many of these companies in the last 2 years have made significant investments in terms of acquisitions in this space because scientified media matters. If you think about all the cash positions of these companies, it really starts to get interesting. They're all at all-time highs. So I believe that scientified media is a winning strategy where and there's a reason why there's so much interest, is because of the huge opportunity set. In fact, the future of the whole consumer experience is at stake. And so, in conclusion, the digital channel is showing its true value. Thanks, Don. Consumer data is fueling media innovation, which has big implications on both the industry and the consumer experience. And privacy concerns will get over those, and there's no going back. Thank you very much.